Hello Steve. Hello Jill. It's time to game classy.
It's the date that JFK got shot. I don't fucking remember what it is now.
There we go.
That was the last show I watched and really, really enjoyed.
But it had James Franco. He's dreamy.
I like James Franco. That's not a downside.
The James Franco-Prussian War.
Yes, the most charming war in history.
He's just a stoner. It was just all misunderstanding with Prussia.
That's right.
No, but the TV show, the series of unfortunate events, it's not terrible. It's definitely weird because it's like a little bit less kiddie than I'd hoped it would be.
Is it as fourth wall breaking as the advertisements were?
A little bit.
Okay, because the entire ad campaign was 100% like talking to the viewer.
Yeah, well,
like
I mean,
in-universe characters speaking to the viewer.
Oh, not quite that. I mean,
Okay.
there's a little bit of that, but I mean, it does
Is
have
Putty in it?
Yeah, he's the narrator. He's
okay.
Lemony Snicket.
Oh, okay, very good. Because he's in all the advertisements. I didn't.
He's like, Putty. Yeah.
Hey, Peter, let me borrow your egg, Peter.
Yeah, we're gonna go do this. Oh my God,
He was a pretty good tick.
he was.
The other tick was really good too. The roommate from Shaun of the Dead.
I didn't like that show.
I enjoy. Well, I mean, it's only one episode. I can't.
Well, it's going to series.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
good. I will reserve my final judgment when it's over because the show was a mixed bag for me. But when he fought all of the Russians,
Oh yeah,
was great.
he was the best part of it.
Yes, that was
everything
great.
else about that show was terrible.
Right. So can it be? I want to see the whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
but judging a show entirely on a pilot is rough because it's a pilot.
Well, yeah. I'm not. I agree with you there. It's not.
I would give the pilot a strong C, and I would like to see more.
I gave it. I think I would get. I don't remember what I gave it on Comic Book Logic, but I'd probably say it would be like either a low C or a high D.
But I want to see more.
All right, Gene Shalit. I give the show. I give the pilot a high C, for I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I'm Gene Shalit now.
I'm Gene Shalit.
I'm Gene Shalit now.
Oh God, no one knows who Gene Shalit is anymore. So yeah, we got some gaming stuff to talk.
Did anyone ever really know who Gene Shalit was? He's kind of a mysterious and, you know...
Is he as mysterious as he is?
He's wrapped in an enigma and a mystery.
Is it was Camille the Easterling?
Oh, Camille the Easterling, the mysterious thing. Some say... Hang on. Let me just get that on there. Some say he made a dark pact with the Lord Sauron.
I don't, why did you get so attached to the Camille the Easterling bio?
Because it was on one of the advertisements over the pisser.
Oh, that's right.
So when you peed, every time you pee, you saw Camille the Easterling and his little bio. So like we memorized it because we just saw it every time we peed. So then Tim and I would just recite it to each other. Camille the Easterling. It's really funny. Some say.
So we got some gaming stuff to talk about, but I want to.
I don't have.
I want to pick Steve's brain a little bit on just some pop culture stuff.
I got magic stuff. That's really the news.
So you finally saw Rogue One.
I did.
Yes. What'd you think?
Best Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flat. Like best Star Wars movie.
And I'm actually kind of surprised because I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah. I think it was the best Star. Well, I've heard a lot of people who are really into Star Wars, like into the Star Wars thing, like very much into Star Wars, not the prequels, but like into They do not like Rogue One that much. They don't hate it, but they're all kind of like eh. And the people who are the less into Star Wars you are, the more likely you are to really like Rogue One.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that too.
Which is it seems to be a thing.
Yeah. No, it's not. It is my kind of like with it is it's not necessarily because it's a bad Star Wars. It's just I don't. There's movie aspects of it that I don't like some of the script. I don't like some of the camera work. I don't like some of what the pacing, the editing. I mean, by the time you get to the third act, as a Star Wars fan, I love that third act. I'm like, yes, pew, 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 pew. It's a trap.
You've got to concentrate fire on the Super Star Destroyer. We won't last long against those cannons.
We got to break the shield down.
I fucking love Mon Calamari. They're the best thing in Star Wars. I don't care what anyone says.
No, I love them. I like that there was that GIF that was going around this week of the Mon Calamari in Return of the Jedi who can't find his screen. He's constantly walking around in the background, wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is.
Yep.
He's like the best. He's like my new favorite character in all of Star Wars.
Mon Cal is the best. They're the best.
I love Mon Calamari. I kind of wish that there was like more of that type of alien that like had kind of a major role in
Had
Star
screen
Wars.
time.
Yeah, I mean,
rather
like
than just being like, "Hey, here's a weird looking alien"
Yeah.
for 2 seconds.
like in Rogue One, there was that guy with the big mouth who's always like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that guy's great. I want more of him."
Yeah.
yeah. Or like Neem Num from
Yeah,
Jedi.
Neem Num.
He's like, "Shut up, you."
I know it, baby. I would watch a movie of just him and Lando, Nub and Lando's adventure. It's good. Well, I have a feeling that's going to be my that's probably going to be my experience with Star Wars going forward. It's going to be an episode, and I'm not going to like it, and then it's going to be a not episode movie, and I'm going to like it because this movie had the things I like about Star Wars. Which is about like regular goon ass characters, and then like dudes who are tangentially related to the Force, like Ip Man.
Yeah.
And then
He was so good.
And then like the very end, like the use of Darth Vader in that film, perfect. That's exactly how Jedi should be. They should be like a fucking force that shows up and is like, holy shit, what was that? And then they're gone.
Yeah.
That should be like in The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace has one incredible scene, and it's the best part of the movie, and I don't care what anyone says. It's not that part. It's not that part, but it's close. It's when they're leaving Tatooine, and Darth Maul just rolls up on his fucking Scooty Puff Jr. and just flips in the air, and they just immediately start lightsaber fighting. That's exactly how I like Jedi. Like, it's just like, it's bam, holy shit, there's fucking lightsabers, and then done. Like, that a good use of them. They're like it's like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. He's a super powerful character. He only does things when it's very important that Gandalf needs to be there, but he doesn't dominate the movie. If you were to make Lord of the Rings more like Star Wars, Gandalf would be in every fucking scene.
Yeah. What about when Darth Vader makes his great Darth Vader pun? Hope you don't choke on your
aspirations.
Was it? Yeah, aspirations.
That was pretty awesome.
I thought that would be the one part of the movie you would absolutely like Darth Vader making a pun.
Darth Vader making a pun was wonderful. I was just like, he hates sand. That fucking picture of the sand dune with all the different like Anakins with like the grunted faces. Oh man, that's so great. It's like
No, as I say,
and fucking Peter Cushing, amazing.
you like the Peter Cushing thing?
Amazing.
You want more Peter
I
Cushing?
want more. I want them to do a new Hammer horror film of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. I want it.
You know, and that's the thing. Like right now, they just announced that they're not going to do that with Carrie Fisher for Episode 9. Like they flat out said we're not doing a CG Carrie Fisher for Episode 9. But
Well, I mean, it's a little bad taste for someone who just died.
yeah,
Peter Cushing has been dead for a long time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, my complaint, and my thing is I was
And he played with his miniatures on the floor like a savage.
Well, he also played with like 54 mils.
He was a huge miniatures
yeah.
gamer. Dude, watching him play minis was fucking awesome. I was like, oh, that's fucking sweet.
Yeah. But for me, it's not morally in bad taste because I would be like, Carrie Fisher wouldn't give a shit. She would be
She
like,
wouldn't give a fuck.
No,
Carrie
she-
Fisher is like the least fuck giving person ever.
and she'd be like, "Am I getting that check?"
You're gonna send a check to my estate.
Yeah, exactly. She would just care about.
She died drowning in an ocean strangled by her own bra or whatever.
But what was that? Oh yeah. But someone said on there on one of the threads I was reading on one of the movie sites, it's like, oh, just having CG Carrie Fisher and 20% of that movie would be so expensive. I'm like, dude, it's Disney Star Wars. They have all the money.
Yeah, they have unlimited funds. They
Yeah.
can spend whatever they want.
Yeah, it's like that's not going to be prohibitive for that. Like no one's ever going to go, hold on. How much is this going to cost?
Yeah.
I don't think we should do this.
Yeah, they're just gonna be like, we're fucking Disney, bitch. we have more GDP than like almost every country on this planet.
Yeah. They're it's pretty ridiculous. No, but
And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I'm fairly certain Disney's one of the largest economic superpowers in the world.
And I'm okay with it as long as they keep putting out fun movies for me to go see. But yeah, I liked a lot of the characters.
Except they're murdering IP laws.
Yeah.
Stupid public domain.
Eh. But I mean, so then my big problem with that is that you'll end up with like what was I just reading the other day? It was some Sherlock Holmes thing, but it was about Warlock Holmes was a book that I saw the other day where Sherlock Holmes is a warlock. And I was just
That's not interesting, but what would be interesting is Sherlock Holmes operating in a world with wizards.
I mean, but I'm just
That would interest me.
Maybe.
Sherlock Holmes with powers? No. Sherlock Holmes, his power is he's observant. That's his only power. And I like the Benedict Cumberbatch version, but I don't like they kind of made him a superhero. Like he's like ridiculously I don't know if it's like it's hard to explain, like the whole Mind Palace thing and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, is that just a narrative visualization? Like, is that just like, okay, this is how he's doing it? Or is he at some like above regular human level? Because Sherlock Holmes, Conan Doyle never wrote him as a genius level character. The whole concept on Sherlock Holmes is that he paid attention. That was the whole deal. He fucking observed everything, and he had a great memory.
Yeah, and he would perform experiments so that he would learn how something would work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's more like in the show. It's more of a lot of that fancy stuff is just visualizing,
Like showing you how he's coming to the conclusion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rather than explaining it via monologue like they do in most of the Sherlock Holmes.
Oh God, and they're so awful to read like that.
Well, they're bad to read, but they're excellent in audio. I do the I have a collection of Sherlock Holmes radio plays with who's what's his name? The fucking super fat guy.
Robbie Coltrane.
No, Orson Welles. Orson Welles is Moriarty.
He's Moriarty.
He's Moriarty. Yeah. The situation between us has become untenable, Mr. Holmes. One of us must die. No, it's really good. It's intolerable.
It's full of green penis.
Yeah, it's full of country goodness and grey penis. This is terrible. Oh, just a handful for the road. Oh, they're even better frozen. I fucking love The Critic. I had an hour-long conversation with a customer about how much we loved The Critic and how it was definitely canceled before its time.
It was. But the problem is that it's so 90s at this point. It's so unbelievably dated.
But it was still canceled before its time. It's just like Seinfeld. Seinfeld's not a show like that. Seinfeld is going to live on with our generation. And like maybe people slightly younger than us, maybe people in their 20s would still get Seinfeld.
Yeah,
but anyone younger than that, it's just not going to work really. Like
no.
It's because most of that humor is very of its time.
Yeah,
it's like trying to it's like old comedies like Laurel and Hardy, always funny because there's it's
all physical comedy.
Yeah, it's slapstick or pun based. Very simple. But like I'm sure there's a lot of other contemporary at that time comedians who would not be funny now because they'd be like, hey, you see what Eisenhower said to Gam Gam? Wow! And you're like, what is he saying?
I like how you skipped like 40 years,
whatever.
30 years from Laurel and Hardy to Eisenhower.
Whatever.
They would have been like, that Woodrow Wilson.
Or FDR. FDR looks like he can't take a walk. Oh ho!
Oh, that's some poor humor there.
I've got polio.
that would be our 1930s comedy duo. You would just say like all these really inappropriate jokes, and I'd be the straight man of the group and be like, oh, you really shouldn't say that.
That was highly rude and offensive.
That was really mean.
My legs don't work because I've got polio.
My sister had polio.
Oh, your sister had polio.
And now the ethnic stylings of Dugan and Dershowitz.
But razzmatazz.
Yeah, the
Critic.
The Critic. It's so 90. I mean, there's so many great bits in it.
Yes.
My favorite one is still the one where he's like, "There's penguins flying the plane." Wait a minute, penguins can't fly. And it's so dumb that it is nothing but funny because it's that dumb.
And the episode of him in The Simpsons is great.
Oh yeah, I just saw that one recently.
Your shoes are untied. From here they appear to be tied, but I will go in for clothes inspection. Upon clothes inspection, these are loafers.
One of my favorite, well, aside from man getting hit in the crotch with football, one of my favorite bits in there is when Krusty says, "Let's just say it moved me to a bigger house." Oh, wait a minute. I said the loud part quiet and the quiet part loud.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen some more of The Critic, and eventually it would have gotten bad because all animated shows got bad. The Simpsons obviously they get bad, and then Futurama I think I think Futurama ended right before it was going to get really bad.
Yeah, some of the later season stuff,
Not great.
there was a couple episodes that are pretty bad.
Yeah, they're
but-
like, but it wasn't at like the current season of The Simpsons. Like all the episodes are terrible. Like it's just bad. Well, the last I saw when I saw new episodes, I was like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Homer can't use an iPhone. Yeah, okay.
I would say anywhere from like season 14 to season 28 is terrible.
It's fucking rough, man. That's a lot of years.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm saying it's like there's like a good like 14 years of terrible Simpsons.
So
And even amongst them, there might be like one or two ones that are pretty decent. One of my favorite ones that I really enjoyed, and it was a later season, was the one where Lisa dresses up as a boy when Springfield Elementary becomes single sex. So there's like a boys' school and a girls'
Oh, yeah?
school.
I haven't seen it.
But I only really like it because I'm an educator, and like the tropes that they were playing with are absolutely right, like how that stuff works. And at the end, when Lisa reveals that she's a girl and not a boy, Nelson jumps up and goes, "We've been yentled." I was just like, that's a funny joke that no one would get because no one knows what yentle is anymore.
And then, yeah, but you know what Simpsons does have? A couple great things. One, Simpsons shitposting.
Yes, Simpson shitposting is amazing.
That's fantastic. And, of course, Skinner. My favorite. Look, pathetic. That's my fucking favorite.
No, I like the...
And
no.
him going through the window.
Yeah,
Steamed
it's
hams.
No, oh, yeah, Steve. I like... No, it's the children that are wrong.
Yes, that's good, too.
Steamed... yeah.
Steamed hams. Yeah, Skinner going out the window. That's really good. Pathetic. Skinner's really good. Skinner's like the cherry on top of the Simpsons meme pie.
The meme pie.
Yeah. He's
Well,
the-
ever since Millhouse kind of fell from grace.
Thrill-ho.
Thrill-ho. Everything's coming up Millhouse. All right. So, and then also one last thing on the pop culture wise, you finally watched Expanse.
Yes, I watched the first 3 episodes. It's quite good.
Yeah.
I'll be watching more. I like the grit. It's got a lot of grit.
It's very real world oriented.
Yeah, and I like that they have the. My favorite part is they have the people who have the weird defects from living in space.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
It's really well. I think it's really well thought out. I mean, granted, some of the science behind it probably is wrong. Like,
I'm sure. It's science fiction.
I mean, but someone like you or someone like me who reads a lot of science or watches a lot of science fiction, and we tend to know when something is bullshit.
Sure.
Like, we'll call it on bullshit.
And the other thing too, though, is there's a lot of stuff that it's based on. That's like theory that's been extrapolated. Like we don't actually know what the effect of long-term
Yeah.
living in space would be. For all we know, it would do nothing. Like it seems unlikely that would be the case, but you know, who knows? In most cases, you'd probably end up just dying because there's so much like random radiation in space. You just like your ship would fly through like some highly radioactive cloud, and everyone would get fucking cancer and die.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, we do know about bone density, but
Yes, the bone density,
they
true.
portray that fairly well in the show.
But in theory, at that time, like the thing about that is like when we have the technology to go and colonize planets, we've probably got the bone density thing taken care of. You know, like take your fucking calcium shot
Well, that's
or whatever.
that's what they do. That's like one of the actual plot points in the show is that part of the reason why they do have medicine, but because Earth,
it's too expensive.
well, yeah, and,
Okay.
and Earth like will sell belters like the cheap shit that doesn't really work.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, see, I said I'm only 3
Yeah.
episodes in, so I didn't see if that's a point. But I like that. If there is a medicine to counteract the effects, and they're suffering the effects because they can't afford the treatment, that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small plot point, but it's something that they do bring up.
It's good. Well, I mean, it's good to
Yeah.
have that point because I always think that's always kind of weird. Like the anachronisms that come up when in sci-fi, like in original Star Trek, like
Play the tape back.
yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like I don't think they're going to be using that technology in that time.
No, well, that's something I loved about Rogue One is that they all use the 70s technology, so everything looked really shitty.
yes, but I mean, Star Wars has shitty technology. That's
Yeah.
that's a feature of Star Wars.
The guy's running with the disc. He's got a floppy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, fucking Luke uses his communicator, which is just a fucking microphone. He's like, 3PO! 3PO! You know, they don't even have fucking, they don't even have transporters in Star
No.
Wars. Like, come on. Their tech is terrible. Like, and
Turn off all garbage patches at the detention level!
I just want to throw out one quick thing. I fucking hate the Star Trek versus Star Wars argument because the Star Wars tech level is so different and so much lower than the Star Trek one. It's so dumb. It's like they use lasers. Like there's an episode of Star Trek where like a ship rolls up to them and they're like, they're arming their weapon systems, Captain, and he's like, what are they arming? He's like, they're arming lasers, and he's like, I guess yellow alert, shields up, and he's like, sir, and he's like, that's protocol.
I read a great thing online. I don't remember where it's from, but it was like the whole argument between Star Trek and Star Wars is completely different. Star Wars is a fantasy because it's a world where Nazis win. Science fiction is a world where communism works, so it's definitely fiction. So
that's good. Well, I mean, the only way you could have the socialist communist perfection is if you have a literal post-scarcity society. So
yeah.
if we create replicators, Star Trek becomes a very, very real possibility.
Oh, I would love replicators that replicate food that's just nutritional. But it just tastes like ice cream. Like that would be that's what it is. It's like it's ice cream, but it's not doesn't have any of the negative
it's good
effects.
for you.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Yeah, you can make whatever food you want, but it'll be nutritionally balanced.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna have a fucking hamburger and French fries and a shake.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day to happen, but it will never happen because we have elected a monster.
Hey, well, I mean, you're giving America too much credit. There's probably going to be some Swedish guy who comes with that breakthrough.
That's true. That's true. I mean, or Chinese. The Chinese will probably
That's
do
true.
it.
They're
Yeah.
probably going to save humanity.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think China will end up saving the world.
Yeah, who knew? But yeah, so I actually just finished the sixth book in the Expanse series. Ending not so great. But
Is that the end of the series?
No, there's going to be 3 more books.
Okay.
It's a 9-book series that they're planning on doing. They've cranked out one a year, and this last one I think came out a little bit later than it was supposed to.
Okay.
I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but it was like the last 2 books are kind of interconnected. So it's like Winds of Winter and not Winds of Winter, Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows. How they're just, like supposedly happening at the same time.
Right, but one is like these people here and these people there.
These last 2 books, though, were just kind of like one long story, but they were all connected. Most of the books are standalone, but not standalone. They all take place in the bigger story, but they're more like self-contained stories inside this larger story.
Yeah. I like that they went with the 3, because at first I thought it was going to be like Gundam, which is Earth versus Mars. And I very much like that they have that third faction, the Belters.
Yeah.
That's very cool. That adds a good mix to it, because it's like, well, it's not just 1v1. Now there's this X factor of these, like, dudes who are shit on by both Earth and Mars. So what are they going to do? Like, they're not powerful enough to stand alone, but...
Or are they?
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, which is cool. So I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm...
My favorite part is the Belter Creole.
Oh yeah, their fucking goober gobber. Their fucking goober gobber language. It's great.
Hey, Koyo, you come here and do the catapultine. No, I just love it because it's very, I shouldn't say linguistically sound, but it's interesting enough. Like it's like, all right, so you have all these people who come from these shitty countries who go into space to be workers because they need to make money. So you're going to send all these third world people up into outer space. And so, of course, they don't have a common language. They create a common language so that they can talk. And like Belter is like a lot of hand signals and stuff like that because they're working in outer space and they can't communicate. So they have to like show like what they mean through their hands. So they talk and they use their hands at the same time. I really think it's one of the best thought out science fiction series I've ever seen. And like when I say hard sci-fi, like it's about as hard sci-fi as I can read without being uber bored or uber depressed.
It's like, yeah, pretty much. I think I like hard sci-fi too. It's like that and I think Alien are the only real hard sci-fi that I can recall like seeing. Most of it's like higher end.
Well, yeah, the only problem with Aliens is they still have the anti-gravity spaceships.
Yeah, but I mean that's, in they don't actually explain how their tech works, so fuck if I know. Maybe the Nostromo has some fucking like centrifugal generator in the fucking generator in the core of it.
Yeah.
But also their ship is massive. That ship is
true.
fucking huge. So that would also help when you're talking
I finally
gravity.
I finally played like all of Alien Isolation. I didn't like it that much.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a little long, but overall it's a very good experience. I was a big fan, but it's it's not the best, but it was when it came out, it was fucking phenomenal. I think it's the best of that you are being hunted genre that was kind of growing at the time. People are talking about a sequel, but I don't think a sequel would work.
Well, I mean, it would have to be a whole different thing,
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, if you did a similar concept but in a whole different setting with a different character, then it would work.
Yes, you could do that.
You can't have the same character. The
Yeah, you
daughter
can't do
of
Ripley again.
Yeah.
But it was really I liked it. I liked the ending. I liked the twists. I liked the
What a twist!
Yeah, I was like, oh shit! Like when I was towards the end, when it's like, wait, oh fuck, there's more than one. That was awful.
That was awful.
Yeah, really cool. I liked that I like the end was very Alien.
Yeah.
Very much so. I liked that.
Yeah.
It was abrupt though. That was one thing. Like, the ending was like, whoop, it's over, done. I was like, huh.
No, I'm waiting for Battlefront 1 to come out on Steam.
The DLC for it was actually really good. The Crew Expendable,
Oh.
because that lets you play through the Nostromo. I
Yeah.
really like that because you can play.
I haven't played that one.
It's every important scene from Alien, all of them. But you can choose which character does the thing. So like when they first send in the vents, like Dallas goes into the vents, but you can make it Ripley instead, or you can make it.
Ash?
I don't think you can play as Ash. I think he's the only one of the crew you can't play as. But all of them came.
Ian Holm?
All of them came back to do their
Hello?
voice. All of them came back to do their voice acting for it, which is really cool.
Tom Garrett.
Some of them sound a little old.
Yeah. I love Kevin and I from Comic Book Logic. We wrote a pilot called the Tom Skerritt Mysteries, where it's Tom Skerritt like solving like everyday mysteries, like where did I put my keys, and it always leads to murder.
Where did he put his keys, or where did he put your keys?
No, it's just like some dumb thing where he gets like involved in it, but there's always like a murder that gets involved. Like that's the thing, and like every time he's like. He's just tired throughout the entire thing. It's such a terrible, terrible script. But anyway, so let's talk some gaming stuff. Gaming. That's we're a gaming podcast. We don't
I
talk
guess.
about gaming enough.
Nah, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. I actually got two great things recently from Green Stuff World, and I wanted to show you them.
Green Stuff World.
Yeah, they're a company from Spain, but they make these. These are Green Stuff
dildos?
rollers.
Oh, to make bricks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But did you just?
I think I just whacked my mic.
No, and this one does the wood planking.
Oh, well, that's neato.
Yeah, they are fantastic. They cost $10 a piece.
They're little resin cylinders that have highly textured bricks,
Laser,
and then
laser cut into them.
wood planks. They look really nice.
Yeah.
I assume they work really well.
They work incredibly well. So what they're designed for, like I think that they designed them in Green Stuff World for basing.
Yeah,
So
I would imagine you just put a glob on your base and just roll this on the base
Yeah.
and fucking bam, you got.
Let me tell you, it does not work well with the two-part not epoxy. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a two-part sculpting clay, like
Milliput?
like Milliput. It doesn't work really well with Milliput. I would assume if you use a
Yeah,
little
these
bit.
kind of things that you'd need but you'd need the rigidity of green stuff or brown stuff.
I think green stuff and brown stuff would work. I haven't used it too much with the green stuff.
Actually, these would probably be great for brown stuff because brown stuff's pretty tough. So
You know what I use it on? I use it on Super Sculpty, the stuff that you bake in the oven.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that would work too.
So I started off, I used the brick. That was the first one I got. And so I tried to do a couple bases. Worked incredibly well. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the next level. So I started building some terrain with it.
Make
use
some houses?
Make some houses. I made some ruins first. Worked out great. I'm like, okay, so let's go to the next level. So I started building some houses, and it came out fucking fantastic.
Cool.
So I would highly recommend going there. They have about, I don't know, about 24 of them.
Greenstuffworld.com.
Green Stuff World. Yeah, most of the stuff is more like base oriented. Like they have like the steel sheeting with a diamond plate.
Well, I mean, doing it yourself is also way cheaper than buying resin bases.
Yeah. So yeah,
and you get the versatility of doing whatever size you want and whatever you can do bits. So you can have, because that was one of the things I've had a love-hate relationship with resin bases, because a lot of the times, like, I want to look, but I don't necessarily want the exact look that someone else has sculpted. So, like, for example, these wood planks, like, it would be really cool if I was doing a merman army. Like, I only want like a little bit of wood planks because I want to do like a dock effect. So like half a wood plank and then like maybe raise it up. You know, you want a little more control. So if you want more control in your basing, these would be definitely.
yeah. They do all sorts of like
way to
crazy
go.
stuff. They have like runes, like
Do they have sci-fi stuff?
yeah, it's a majority sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
They do have some like fantasy historical stuff. Like this is the Dutch bricks. They actually have like kind of Roman bricks that are a little more different sizes. They have cobblestone. They have large cobblestone, small cobblestone. They have a bunch of that, but a lot of it's more sci-fi. A lot of it's more oriented towards like Space Marines or Eldar.
Marines.
Stuff like that. But I highly recommend it. I've used them a lot over my Christmas break to build stuff, and I'll show you when we're done. But it's pretty fantastic. I haven't come across something that's made me this excited about like hobbying in a long time.
Well, yeah, and you hate building terrain.
I hate building terrain, but it's made it so easy that I've been able to crank out probably 4 or 5 large buildings over the course of a week.
Nice.
And I haven't had a ton of time to do it either, but it's so quick. And Super Sculpey is kind of hard to use, and I had to rig up a kind of like a template to create the right size for creating the bricks, but it took me all of like 2 seconds and some balsa wood to do.
Cool.
So yeah, I highly recommend going there at Green Stuff World. They're like on sale. I think it's like 10 euros, like 10 or 12 euros. So like that's like $14, I think, total.
Nice.
Yeah. Definitely recommend that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was an idea I had while playing some games the other day. We need to create a separate podcast, me and you, and it needs to be called Rules Lawyers.
Okay.
Okay. This is now. Bear with me on this.
All right. I'm bearing.
What we'd have people do is they would send in questions, like a rules question, like I think that this rule. A good example. Okay.
I think we should just make this a segment of Game Classy.
We could make it, but what we need is 2 people as lawyers arguing each side of this rule, and then we'd have to have an impartial judge. So, like for example, a bolt action rule. There's a special rule and there's a character for a special. There's a rule for a special character.
Okay.
That says this character costs 115 points, and he replaces the NCO in your unit, right? My argument is that you keep the character and the figure of your NCO. It's just that this character takes over the NCO rule. Now, the way that people are saying, now he replaces the model. The model goes away. But if he replaces the model, you've already paid for that model. So why would you pay for a model and have the model taken away? That costs that model that 20 points.
Does the NCO have cost additional points?
No.
Okay. Then it would to me that would be you remove the NCO and you stick the new guy down because you didn't pay for the NCO.
Well, no. Okay. So when you buy a unit, it's 100 points.
Okay.
It says on there, you pay 100 points, you get 1 NCO, 4 characters, and 4 models for 100 points. Let's just say.
Okay.
So the rule for the special character says replaces NCO. Okay. It does not say replaces the NCO model. That's my argument right there. If they had specifically put in the rules replaces NCO model, I could easily see removing the model because it specifically states replaces the NCO model. This one just says replaces the NCO.
Yeah, they probably should have used the word upgrade instead of replace.
They should have done a lot of different things, but
I mean the rule set's pretty loose, probably.
I know. But I mean, what we would do is we would have 2 people arguing both sides of the argument.
I mean, I think we just did. That was basically it.
No, but then, but the key part is that we'd have an impartial judge who'd be like, "Nope, this is the way it goes according to my ruling. I've heard both sides of your argument." We present it just like a legit law case. Like you come in, you'd have your opening arguments. No. On this side of the argument, Joe is arguing whether or not and Joe says that the NCO model should not be removed from the table because you've already paid for it. On this side of the table, Jimmy Jablonski says that no, you need to replace the model.
Dun, dun, dun.
All rise for Judge Steve. All rise for Judge Fudge.
Yeah, I would I'd sentence you to be guilty of being delicious. Fudge.
Yeah, and we'd have but that's what. And then you'd present arguments. Maybe even call some witnesses.
Yeah, I would go by every other miniatures game that's ever existed. Anytime you do have an upgrade like that, they swap the model out. That's it seems pretty lucky. Also, you would take a 5 model unit and make it a 6 model unit if you add.
Well, I mean, most units allow for expansion.
I think because
Well, see,
it
that's
uses,
the thing is like you'd have to like
because it uses replace. It very the intention is clear, but you would actually need to defer to the people who wrote the fucking rules because they would have the final say.
No, because you can't always refer to those people because it's so goddamn easy to put an FAQ up in
Right,
this day and
but
age.
that's the problem.
And they never fucking
that's,
do it.
That's the problem. The argument of raw versus intended. Like, do you go with what the hell? Oh. Do you go with exactly how the rule is written, or do you go with how you feel the rule is intended?
Well, that's like the Supreme Court argument of like the Constitution. Like this is like the argument I was having while I was discussing the idea of rules court. Is that the Supreme Court judges they have different ideas. Like it's not they sometimes will go as the Constitution is rules as written,
Right.
Or it's
Rules as intended.
Yeah, rules as intended. So that's. It's very interesting that the way that our American law system works and the way that we gamers argue over rules almost identically mesh.
Sort of. There's, it basically always everyone's going to be arguing in their favor.
Yes.
So you want to have the extra model because it's more powerful.
Yes.
That's why you want it. So like the problem is there's too much bias to.
Well, no, that's the thing though. That's what you're doing is you're getting the person to argue.
Always defer on the side of the less powerful. That is the rule of thumb when you're doing any rule set. Every time there's any of these type of questions that come up, anytime they get hit by an FAQ, it's always less powerful. The game designers do not want power gaming. Like they always try and pull it back unless very specifically you're talking private or press. In that case, always defer to the side of the more powerful option.
Well, there you go. And this is why I'd have you as the judge. But then again, it's like as a in law, you're always like, well, I got to know who I'm arguing against. So that's I think we need to do like I want this podcast to be, it'd be way too hard to do. I would probably like to do it at like Adepticon where I could have like a bunch of people there, or even like we could even do like a jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now I might not be some big city power gamer, but I tend to know what rules as written means.
Yeah. I'm just a giant southern chicken.
Yeah, exactly. I might just be some Chicagoland 40K player, but I tend to know my tabletop games. Yeah.
You moved the model. You moved it.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Classic Adepticon shouting matches.
I'm looking. This is more highbrow as opposed to when I tend to see like rules lawyering, I tend to think of like two sections, kind of like how American law is, where you have your basic he did something wrong, kind of like law or criminal law, where it's like, no, this guy he definitely palmed some dice, or like he did some funky rolling or something like that. Like that's criminal law in gaming world. But no, this is like constitutional law where you have to go over a rule set. Like that's kind of like what I'm talking about. My only problem is that I would have to like, it would be like studying law where I'd have to like have the 40K rule book and have to read through it.
Yeah, that sounds brutal. I'm not up for that.
I'm not up for that either. Yeah,
I can give you my general interpretations, and that's usually what I would say.
We'd have to
defer on defer on the less power gaming option, and assume that anyone bringing up any sort of rules discrepancy like that is angling to abuse it. That's what they want.
Of course, but I mean, sometimes you have to abuse.
No, I mean, I think the my issue is there's enough holes in any rule set written that you can just find things that are broken enough and just go with that.
Yeah.
Because if you go with a cut and dry, that was one of the things that was always rough about whenever anyone was trying to do like that kind of janky shit in 40K or fantasy, because it's always like, bro, there is so much shit in this game that's blatantly busted that you can't argue away. Why don't you just stick with that rather than going with this really weird corner case thing that you've like cobbled together on your own? Like, just go with this. Like, why try and play some sort of weird like retaliating elf countercharge bizarre ass list written using this rule that you found on page 73 of some fucking obscure ass white dwarf? Why do that when you could just play Tzeentch Demon's Army? It's like you're going through a lot of trouble when you could just really win hard by just playing this other army.
I don't know. I think that there's something
people want to get That's the whole thing. People want to get people. Like people don't want to get got, and people want to get.
Get. I mean, I could bring up another bolt action one. And the only reason I bring up bolt action is because it's the game I've been playing the most of. Version 2 rulebook, there's a new rule called Tiger Fear. And it's essentially any big German tank, you have to test on your leadership to see if you're able to do any sort of action around it, because the idea is your character, your unit is so terrified that there's a Tiger tank around that sometimes you might fail at what you're doing. So in the rule book, it specifically states that this sounds so dumb the way I'm arguing it right now, but the rule specifically states that the only time you don't have to test is if you do a shoot, and if you shoot at it.
Okay.
And shoot is italicized, and in the rule book, shoot when it's italicized usually dictates that it's this very specific action.
Okay.
It's the shooting action. This guy was trying to make the argument that you could also advance, which is move and shoot at it as well. And he's like, because they say, you don't use a shoot action, you don't use the word action, you could do the move and shoot as well, and you don't have to test on it. But everyone's like, no, the italicized means that you're shooting at
Yeah,
it.
when you perform the action of shooting, you don't need to take the test.
Yeah.
If you want to move and shoot, you must take the test.
Yeah, that's
That seems pretty clear.
I agree with that. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is why the whole argument and the whole rules court thing came up.
Yeah,
it's like,
well, I mean, that's why
that would be like a 2-minute case.
Games with tournaments. If you're gonna have tournaments, you need to have some sort of judge system.
Yeah.
And that's why miniatures tournaments will never reach the level of any other game tournament, because there's no official judging. Like, they usually have like a guide there to settle rules disputes, which is great.
Well, I mean, that's what I always loved about Games Workshop back in the day, was that you would have. You could call up the helpline and be like, "Hey, I got a rules question for you."
Defer to staff.
And the staff would be like, roll a die.
Yeah, roll a d6. Whoever gets higher, go with that guy's
That's
idea.
4, 5, or 6, it's this. 1, 2, 3, it's that.
Yeah.
I don't know why the guy's from Chicago.
I don't know. They're calling the Chicago office.
They're calling the bunker.
Yeah.
But I remember always manning the phones, and when that would happen, like someone would call up with like a Lord of the Rings question, I'd be like, I don't know, I don't play that stupid game.
Do you
Click.
guys have Warhammer 40 million?
40 million. But yeah, that's and it just does bug me also that it's like, hey, we live in the internet age. You could easily post an FAQ, like an updatable FAQ,
Absolutely.
when shit like this comes up, and it takes no time whatsoever. And guess what? If you make a ruling on an FAQ and then later on you figure, you know what? That ruling's not great. Let's change it. You could go back and change it. Like, it's all the British's fault, because they're so slow, and that's why they lost their goddamn empire. That's why we have these problems.
I thought it was because they stretched too far.
No, it's because they were too slow updating their FAQs.
I see.
That's the reason
Fair
why the
enough.
empire fell. That, and they were taking over places like Suriname.
What about Guam?
Guam? We have Guam.
I don't want Guam. I don't want Guam because it sounds weird.
I always thought Guam kind of was like a shortened form of guacamole.
Delicious.
Guacamole.
Are the people there made of guacamole?
No.
Oh.
Who calls it guacamole?
Guacamole.
Someone always calls
it's
it.
That's a line from Super Troopers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's like, I'll take 2 enchiladas with no guacamole.
And give me a what is it called?
Chimichangas. He thinks I'm Mexican.
And I want
not?
three chinchillas.
I love it. You're not? That sequel's coming out soon, I think.
Yeah. You know what else is getting a sequel soon? Wolf Cop.
Fuck. I never saw the first one.
You never saw the first
No.
Wolf Cop? That movie was so unbelievably stupid. I loved it. It's about a cop who transforms into a werewolf. It's Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop. It's like Kung Fury. I did watch.
Kung Fury was tongue in cheek. Wolf Cop was more like in that classic kind of like.
Was it Deadpan?
Yeah, pretty deadpan.
That's awesome.
But it was very like low budget horror. That was.
Did you watch Turbo Kid?
No, I haven't watched.
It's good.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It's a weird fucking movie. It's odd, but it's got a great fucking synth soundtrack. Like really good soundtrack.
I'm not a big synth soundtrack fan.
I fucking love it. Like that stuff like Tron and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And like all those soundtracks I love.
If I know you don't listen to Comic Book Logic, but one of my common jokes is that Tangerine Dream does the soundtrack to every movie from the 1980s.
Yeah, that's my jam. I love that.
It's like It's like, I don't like Kavinsky. Kavinsky just rips off Tangerine Dream.
Kavinsky is Tangerine Dream.
Yeah. But
There's a song in my head right now that I can't. It popped into my head when we were discussing this. It's Running Man.
Running Man.
I did it. I was about to go on a thing about how I couldn't remember what it's from, but like once I actually vocalized it, it was the Running Man.
Wasn't Running Man? Was it 1997 or was it 2017?
2017 is the Running Man.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The year is 2017. The world has been divided into city states. Food and shelter are scarce. It's fucking perfect.
What's his name?
I'll be back.
John-
Only in a rerun.
What was
The Butcher.
No, what was Schwarzenegger's character's name in The Running Man?
Oh, fuck. They called him the Butcher, John something.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up.
I'm
Real quick.
trying to remember that Hispanic lady. She's like, "Help me, it's Jim the Butcher, the Butcher." Oh fuck! And then of course, clap if you love Dynamo. Dynamo.
Yaphet Kotto.
Fuck, dude.
Ben Richards. That's who it is.
Ben Richards. Richards. That's right. I want to bet on Richards.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He's one of the. He's the runner.
running man.
You can't bet on him. You asked me who I want to bet on, who's going to make the next kill, and I pick Richards.
That movie is amazing.
I fucking love that movie. It's so good.
Welcome to 2017 America. It is The Running Man.
One of the best things about that movie is it is so different from the source material.
Oh, yeah.
But it is great. It doesn't matter. It's like it's almost like it says based on. I think it's really more inspired by.
Well, and that's like one of those things that's like The Running Man is a movie that's perfect for the exact time it was made with its exact stars and its exact script. And
it's got the fucking host of the goddamn feud.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Yeah. What's his name? Why can't I think of Richard Dawson.
Yeah.
Richard Dawson.
Fucking grabbing the ladies' asses.
Yeah. With his pinky ring.
That guy was a fucking dick.
He was awesome. But yeah, it's like and it's one of those things that people would want to remake now, but it's like, no. Don't remake that movie because it was perfect for when it came out.
Yeah, you know what they should do instead of remaking movies? Just remaster and re-release. Like, yeah. And that's a thing that I'm kind of surprised isn't a trend. Like, some movies come back to theaters for a special engagement every so often, but why has no studio exec thought of like, let's just remaster this film and just fucking re-release it? I mean, like, because that's got to be cheaper than doing a new like Total Recall. Like, why bother spending all of the money to do a new version with fucking goddamn Colin Farrell and just remaster and re-release the fucking Schwarzenegger one? Like, that movie's great.
Well, because the director wanted to have another vehicle for his wife to be in.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, these execs got to have that power. Like, just fucking be like, yeah, just re-release Running Man. Like, if you think the movie would play well, like, if you think a remake would play well, why not just do the original?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. The Soviets used to do that all the time. So they would take, like, an Alexander Nevsky movie, like, what's his name? The fucking Prince guy. I can't remember. I don't remember.
Yanoslav?
No. Eisenstein would take Alexander Nevsky. That's what it is. The movie's name is Alexander Nevsky. Like, they would take Eisenstein movies, and then they would have like the the Moscow Symphony Orchestra redo the entire score, and then re-release the movie. You know, and as with like an updated soundtrack or whatever have you. And it would be great, but they don't do that anymore. Like, I think it would be. And I think it's because a lot of that is like it's because the soundtracks are all like synth heavy, like the Running Man soundtrack. Get your ass
fucking works. Fucking works. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like, I think it's maybe because they think it won't resonate with like the current generation. But I think they should give it a shot because I think they're underestimating the timeless aspect of a lot of movies.
Well, yeah, I think that too. But I mean, I know a lot of theaters that are not necessarily like the bigger chains like AMC or Regal or any of those, but like the smaller ones, like, you know, any of the Bruin Views, like or Studio Movie Grill. That's kind of a chain. Hollywood out by us too. They tend to show a lot more older movies, older prints. But yeah, it's like that returning gauge. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like the.
But that's their thing.
That's their thing
because they always bring celebrity guests and stuff.
I mean, not always.
I saw I unfortunately saw Sin City 2, but Rosario Dawson was there,
Ooh,
which was
fun.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And my wife asked Rosario Dawson if it was forgivable to go ass to mouth.
Clerks 2.
Yeah, but
By the way, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see Yoga Hosers?
no,
Did
I
you watch
heard it
that?
was terrible.
You know, I'm the guy. I am a Kevin Smith apologist. I like.
I know you are.
I really liked Red State.
Actually, I'll stand up for Red State. Red State was a fucking solid film.
Yeah.
Solid film.
And-
like, I had no idea Kevin Smith directed that movie. I was like, holy shit, Kevin Smith directed that? Wow.
and even like some of his like Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl's not a terrible movie. It's a forgivable rom-com. But Yoga Hosers is by far the worst thing he has ever done. And it's like holy like and it's like I give him
And if you're saying that,
yeah, and as an apologist, and it's like I understand him wanting to make a movie for his daughter to be in. That's great. Let him do that. He has the ability. But I mean, like, if that's your gift to your daughter, I feel really bad for your daughter because that movie and his daughter's not terrible in it. And no one in that movie is terrible. The problem is the script. It is fucking terrible, and it's so unforgivable.
well, as Kevin Smith gets more and more blitzed by pot, his movies are getting worse.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, Tusk. I don't even think Tusk was as bad as like a lot of people said it was. I was like, okay, it's not great, but it's not terrible. It's like I kind of put it in that Jersey Girl kind of like. It was ambitious and it was interesting, but whatever. And now,
From the synopsis of Tusk and from what I've seen, I think Tusk should have been a 30-minute short film.
it could have been.
I think that was he got caught up in trying to make a full movie out of something that was a small idea.
Well, I mean, I think
I guess there's another movie about a moose.
yeah, Moose Jaws. That's
Yeah.
another- it's his tribute. Jaws is one of his
It's
favorite
gonna be
moves.
it's gonna be a killing moose.
Yeah, it's a moose it's essentially I'm hoping that it's going to be like Cujo. You remember the movie Cujo?
Yeah.
Where it's just the woman and the boy trapped in the car
Yeah.
surrounded by the dog. Like that movie's fantastic.
It's a terrifying film.
Yes. And it's like it's very 70s and it's very raw and it's not a great movie, but it's an interesting kind of
It's visceral.
It's very visceral and it didn't need to be as long as it was. I mean like
Yeah,
our
a lot of movies are too long.
Yeah.
I had a discussion with someone about that. How like editing is the crucible on which to forge a film, and how so many movies would be better or can be made into incredible films with editing. And I guess there's some fan edit out there, and I'll use this one because it's a everyone knows it. Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah.
There's a fan edit, a specific cut.
Topher Grace.
Yeah, and it's great. It's apparently a fantastic Star Wars movie, but it's only like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
but it's a fantastic Star Wars movie because he cut out all the stupid Galactic Senate bullshit. They go from it just cut everything properly with editing, and there's a lot of movies that are better and worse.
Let me put it to you this way. I've seen the fan edit, the Topher Grace one. I think this is the one you're talking about.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I think there's a couple edits of it.
There are. Everyone wants to make that movie better.
Yeah. I think I saw the Topher Grace one. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think I saw the edit that you're talking about, the one that was released.
And there's like
the Phantom edit.
there's like no Jar Jar in it.
Yeah. It definitely made the plot better. It is still directed horribly.
Well, yeah.
And it still has a terrible script.
Well, you do need every aspect to make it good, but you can use editing to make an inferior film better.
And that's my argument with Nolan. Like, I don't know, are you a Nolan fan?
Yes and no. I like The Dark Knight. I really liked the third movie because I think Bane is the funniest thing in the world. You think this gives you power over me? Like
no one cared about me until I put the mask on.
What happened? I took off the mask. Will he die?
Will he
It
die?
will be very painful for you. I think Bane is like the best thing in the world.
That movie-
the Bane voice is the best.
That movie is a nightmare of a movie, and it should never have been made.
A KNI nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that movie. But like, I can see the thing is like I enjoy a lot I we're just like yeah sure all your criticisms are valid, but you know what? There's one thing that you didn't think about, and that's this voice. How can you stop it?
Well, I mean that's my argument with The Prestige. That's my argument with Dark.
Prestige, is that the one with Hugh Jackman and David Bowie?
Yes.
I fucking loved that movie. That movie was great.
That movie, Inception, Dark Knight Rises. Interstellar, the other one.
I didn't see Interstellar. Interstellar looked fucking awful.
Well, let me just say this: it's like all of those movies would have benefited from someone
Chopping.
saying like, you have to take a half hour
Yeah.
out of this movie.
Yeah, his
Not
movies
just-
are way over long.
Not just like 5
I expect
minutes. or-
Dunkirk to be a 5-hour epic.
Oh my God, Dunkirk is going to be 4 hours long of just British people masturbating. That's all it's going to be. It's like, yes, this is our ultimate hour. Yes, yes. No, you guys got trapped on a beach by fucking Nazis because you guys weren't prepared to go up against them. Hold on a second. Let me.
Mike,
Might need a new chord for you soon.
no. Let's see here. There we go.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, but that's always my problem with fucking Nolan movies. It's just like cut a fucking half hour out of that movie, and it doesn't have to be like like plot points. It has to do with his long meandering shots that don't mean anything.
Though I'll argue for the ones in favor of the ones in Inception, because there were some really cool, like, weird ass angles in that one.
Yeah, well, some of that stuff is really cool in Inception. Like but the problem with
That hallway fight scene, ridiculous.
But the problem with Inception is there's too much exposition leading up to all of the coolness.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I get it.
It could be faster.
It could be.
Move it along.
Move it along. Let's go, Nolan.
Sure.
Let's go.
I agree.
Let's go.
His movies meander. I think The Dark Knight is his best film.
I probably would agree. Memento is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, Memento is a really good movie.
But I would probably say the Dark Knight is his best movie. But even in the Dark Knight, there's a lot of stuff that needs
Memento
to be cut.
is really good. Did he direct The Machinist? Because I love The Machinist.
I think so. Maybe.
If Christopher Nolan directed The Machinist, I will say The Machinist is his best film.
Okay.
I really like that movie. That movie's
I only
really
saw
fucking
that
good.
once. But something sounds
Did
telling
he direct? He didn't direct Looper, did he?
No, he didn't
Okay.
direct.
I like Looper a lot. That movie was good. I'm just thinking.
No, he didn't direct. He didn't direct A Machinist.
Okay, I'm thinking because he's one of those guys who likes to use the same actors.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of movies that starred the same actors.
No. The guy who did Looper is, I think, the guy who's directing Episode 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I like episode.
Or
8
was
then.
it Episode 8 or Episode 9? Let me see. He's doing 8. He's doing the next
Okay.
one. So, yeah, because I knew it was the Godzilla guy did Rogue One, and Looper guy is doing 8, and 9 I think is the guy that's, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, and then there's the opposite problem with editing too. From I haven't seen it, but by all accounts, the not chopped version of Batman versus Superman is a much better movie.
I don't want to watch that movie again.
So I don't know. I haven't seen it.
The more I've seen it twice, and it's like I hated it more the second time. But anyway, the thing with Interstellar is Interstellar was a wonderful movie that was hampered by a weird kind of like 2001 Space Odyssey ending where it's kind of like it's like he went to a black hole and that allows him access to time travel, and you're just like at the end you're just like, holy fuck, this is stupid. It was a really cool kind of sci-fi movie until that point where you're just like, oh, this is just all metaphysical bullshit. I don't want to do. And it's Matthew McConaughey, who I like as an actor, but every time, like,
all right.
why do they keep on having him be like these like super smart sci-fi guys? Because I'm sorry, you have a southern accent. I can't take you seriously when you're talking like that.
I can take him seriously as a detective, though.
Oh, absolutely. He's great at that. It's like, Murph, we're going to have to go to this speaker base because this is what it's telling us, Murph. It's like, what? No. Murph. That was his daughter's name. But then what was the other part of it? Where was I going with this? I don't remember.
If you want a
Yeah.
sweet saving the world sci-fi movie, I suggest Sunshine.
Sunshine was really great for it's the same thing. First half, amazing. Second half, stupid.
Yeah, but the first half's really good.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, it's pretty good. But and with Interstellar 2, not Interstellar, the other one that's kind of like that is Gravity.
I liked Gravity.
Gravity was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I never have I more wanted to see a movie after, like, when I saw it. It was one of those movies that like made me say like, shit, I should have saw this in IMAX 3D.
Same. Same.
When
Although
I-
I think I might have gotten motion sick.
I think-
I'm not vulnerable to that, but like that film specifically had a lot of like really fast camera pans and like big shots, and yeah, it might have made me sick. I
But
don't know.
the one scene that absolutely killed it for me was when she's like flying there and she grabs onto the thing, and then George Clooney character's flying and she goes to grab his hand and she grabs it and he's like, no, just let it go. And then he let go and he flies off with the same momentum. I'm like,
yeah, she could have easily just went like, whoop.
like I was like, I seriously I was like,
that sucks.
That's not how science works.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I didn't like in the movie. Like they were so exact and hard sci-fi for so much of that movie, and then to have really weird moments like that, I was like, there's no way she could have just easily pulled him next to her. You do not have that kind of like there's nothing to stop your momentum in space. So if you go flying really fast and you don't hit anything, you will fly at that speed forever. But if someone gently touches you, you'll stop.
Well, not gently touches
you know what I mean.
Yeah. If someone could,
it doesn't take that much force to stop you in space.
Newton pretty much wrote that down in 1600 of basics
in
of how
space.
that works.
It does not take that much to stop you. You do not need much force. So her just grabbing his hand, she'd easily been able to pull him next to her, no problem.
Well, yeah, if she was able to stop his momentum,
right,
then yes, she would have been able to do that. But anyway, let's talk about hard sci-fi.
but the whole thing where like the station hit and then the stuff was accelerating and going around the planet and coming back again, that was perfect. That's like that's exactly how it would go down.
Yeah.
Like and those tiny, and that was one of the things I loved in The Expanse. In the second episode when that one ship gets blown up, and they're like in that shuttlecraft and there's the debris and they're like, we have to fucking move, and like they have to like just like get the ship to turn like super fast because the debris from the ship is coming at them. That was excellent. I was like, that's fucking awesome, because that's one of the things they ignore a lot in any sci-fi. Like when a ship gets destroyed, they ignore, like when you're having not any sci-fi. In some sci-fi, it doesn't matter. Like in Star Trek, it doesn't matter because the shields. They like it. The debris gets deflected by the shields. In Star Wars, it would matter because those ships don't have shields, like X-wings. So like when an X-wing blows up a TIE fighter, like there would be debris from that TIE fighter, which would become a hazard.
Shields,
do they?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember.
But TIE fighters do not have shields.
Okay, there you go. So one TIE fighter getting blown up would destroy all the other TIE fighters.
No, it's the argument for the Endor Holocaust, which is when the Death Star 2 explodes.
Right, that moon's fucked.
Yeah, all those Ewoks dead.
Everyone's dead.
No one is on the planet celebrating.
Everyone's
at the end.
dead.
Everyone is dead.
Yes. And I enjoyed that touch for Expanse, and like it became a big plot point, which I enjoyed. And Gravity had the same thing where it's like, oh shit, like this is gonna get worse, and then it's gonna come back. And I like that they timed it. They're like, we've got like 20 minutes before it comes around again, and we have to get this shit done.
Yeah.
And the one thing about space, the Expanse, Gravity, all that stuff makes me go like, you know what? Fuck space. Never going.
No, I am not either.
Never going. Even if there's a giant breakthrough and they're like, hey, you can just go to space now if you want. I'd be like, no. Well, I'm going to stay here.
For me, it's more of like space. It's like, oh, that would be really cool to go up there. But, you know, I probably not. It's like the same thing of like, you know what, I'd love to go.
It's like deep sea diving.
No, it's like, I'd love to go to Cairo and see the pyramids. But you know what? Not fucking going. Because you know what? A lot of shit happens in Cairo that I don't want to take part in.
It's also really filthy. Yeah, I knew some people from I knew two people from South Africa, and they said Egypt has all these wondrous things that's like really cool, but they said is one of the filthiest places in the world.
Well, it's like
they're like if you go with a cut, you're gonna get gangrene.
Well, you know, it's one of the guys I work with. He's from India. He's from northern India.
They shit in the streets in India.
Well, yeah. But I mean, he's from like really fancy part of India. Like
sure.
Definitely his family has money.
So he's not
India.
low caste.
He's not low caste, no. And he's always like he goes to India, you know, once every 2 years or so to go visit his family and everything like that. He's very his family's very Americanized, but he does have relatives in India.
Sure.
And so, but he's always like telling me, he's like, yeah, it's like you should really go sometime. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want to take that chance.
Every time I think of that, I just think of the episode of Seinfeld where the two people are like, they still have the plague. The plague.
Yeah. It's like, why would you want to go there?
Yeah.
It's like, it's seriously like,
it's a lot of people crammed into a very small, relatively small area.
But I'm terrible. I'm a terrible human being because I'm like that when people are like, you should go to St. Louis. I'm like, why would I want to go to St. Louis?
St. Louis smells like pee.
Yeah. Or look, you know,
like, straight up, St. Louis smells like piss. Like I'm not even like that's not a dig or like a specific insult. Like if you go to St. Louis, it smells like piss.
You've talked about that before.
It was the grossest. I'm like, I walked out of the car. I'm like, why does it smell like piss?
But I'm sure that there's people who are like that who are like, why would I want to go to Chicago? 300 people died there last week.
You know, interesting note, even though there's a lot of people getting shot in Chicago because of the population density, we're not even close to the top murder capital of the world.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for Chicago, because I know we like to be number one.
We are number 1. We actually got knocked down to number 3 in bed bugs, though. Just so you know.
No.
We got beat by Baltimore and D.C.
Are you a real villain? No. Not really.
What's that?
That's from We Are Number One.
Oh, weird. Oh, yeah. I know you love that meme.
I fucking love it.
Okay, so really quick, let's end on Magic. What's going on with Magic?
So Magic Standard was a horrible, terrible experience. Everyone was having a very bad time, and they banned 3 cards. There hasn't been a Standard banned in quite some time. They actually banned one of the cards from the brand new set.
I was going to say the new set just came out like today, didn't it?
Well,
or yesterday?
Not this brand new set. The most recent set,
Okay.
Kaladesh. The set that came out today is Aether Revolt. Well, pre-release was this week. Aether Revolt. The set right before that. So the most recent set until next week. They banned a card from there, and they banned a card from the set right before it because the there were 2 things. They both warped the game, but the defining feature of the Standard format was having your opponent take your turn.
Oh.
And because they released a card which was Emrakul, and it you cast it, and when you cast it, you take your opponent's next turn. And what I mean by that is, when my turn is over, you give me your cards. I look at I get to play with your lands and get to play your cards.
Oh.
So I take your turn, like literally play your turn. It's a mind slaver effect, and it was super consistent, and you would have people doing it all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not fun. And then, of course, Emrakul itself was a fucking strong creature. So I'm playing a great creature, taking your turn, ensuring that you can't defend, making terrible decisions, and if you have like a burn spell, like lightning bolts or whatever, I make you lightning bolt yourself.
And how many of those could you play a game?
In theory, 4.
In theory, 4.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So yeah, not fun.
So you wouldn't play the game at all?
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
So they got rid of that, and then they got rid of the other card, which was called Smuggler's Copter, because it was too ubiquitous, and it was too important. The game was Smuggler's Copter was it's a 2-drop, so it comes out on your second turn, and every time it attacks, you draw a card and discard a card, and it's a 3/3 creature when you activate it, so you like tap another creature to turn it into a creature. So I attack you, draw a card, discard a card, pass, and it's no longer a creature. And there's very, very little instant speed creature removal in the format. So that means that my card is safe from you during your turn because it's not a creature, it's just a regular artifact, and then I turn it back into a creature on my turn. Right. And there's no instant speed removal for it, really. And the game was getting warped. It's like those things were warping the format so much because, like, if I got Smuggler's Copters online and you didn't, I beat you. Period.
Well,
nothing you could do.
I could see like them understanding like the Smuggler's Copter like in the initial stages being like, oh, this is kind of cool thing, but not understanding how much it could get broke and how much it warped the Embercool, was that what it was called?
Well, Emrakul.
Yeah,
Emrakul had a very powerful splashy effect. The problem is they didn't realize how people would be able to make it so consistent because it's a very high casting costs card, but it gets a discount based on different card types in your graveyard. So, but people figured out a way to be like, I'm going to be able to consistently cast this on turn 5.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be like that. Was the thing they missed. They missed because they were like, okay, well, because if it didn't have the discount ability, the card would be completely unplayable, and they didn't want that.
Okay, I was going to say, like, the way you were describing it to me, I was like, oh, that seems like way overpowered. Why would they put that in there? But if they tried to balance it out with a higher point cost, but then people found a workaround for it that they didn't see, I could kind of see how that would happen.
And then they also banned a card that was an uncommon from a recent set that was I was really surprised to see it, but I guess they said it would. They preemptively banned it because without those 2 other cards, it would have strangleholded the format. And it's a little creature for like it's like a 2/3 creature, which is not strong, but when it comes into play, you return an opponent's creature to their hand, and then they can't play that card during their next turn.
Oh, okay.
But they said that the prison effect would be too strong. So they're like they didn't want, because they said like if they ban those other 2 cards, that deck would just be the de facto best deck on the back of that guy. So they banned those 3 cards, and we're having a new standard. People seem very, very positive about the change because like people were like, pros were rating it, like Wizards before this ban, like a couple months ago, they asked pros to weigh in, like rate the format on a a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and I believe the averaged out amount was 2.
Oof.
Which is really bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, but see, once again, it's like, hey, look, shit's happening. Wizards immediately on top of it.
But the thing is, and the reason they can be, and the reason they can do that is because they have access to metrics. Because every Friday there are Friday Night Magic,
yeah.
which means Wizards get to go, how many people played Magic this Friday? 2 million. Awesome. How many people played Magic this Friday? 1,500,000. That's not good. How many people played Magic this Friday? 1 million. Why are we at a half? It's been 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
then they can look into it. They get the data. They see standard attendance dropping off by huge percentages. And that's what happened with this. Like, people stop, because the thing is, when there's a deck that's too strong in Magic, I'll give a great example of the difference between the way Magic works and the way this is just a game design thing. There was a deck a couple years ago called Jund. I played it. Jund was the most unfair, the most powerful deck, period, in the format. Like, it was unquestionably the best. If you weren't playing it, you were foolish. Like, that's the thing. You could not make a deck to beat it on terms of just value. Every card it played was just amazing. It was super value. Every turn, it did something great. But Jund allowed your opponent to play the game, and it did not win quickly, and it did not win with a combo. It won with attrition and value. So we'd play a full game of Magic. So no matter what deck you brought, you would feel like you played the game. And you would leave like, oh man, I lost to Jund. Like, oh, he got lucky with that Cascade. Cascade is I play a card with Cascade, and then I reveal cards from the top of my deck until I reveal one of the lower casting costs, and then play that for free.
Okay.
That was the defining feature that made Jund a very good deck. So, like, people knew that the Jund cards were powerful, but it didn't feel unwinnable. So that game feel was extremely important, and no cards from Jund ever got banned.
Yeah.
And it was because of that. And it's because it allowed people to play the game. It wasn't a 2-card instant kill combo. It wasn't a prison deck. It was still fun. And the format was huge, and standard attendance went up, way up. Also, Jund was a cheap deck to build, so it wasn't expensive. It was great. Then fast forward to like a year after that, the best deck is Caw-Blade, dominated by a $100 Mythic Rare, which you need 4 of. So it's a $400 barrier to entry to Standard. That card got banned. That's the way the game works, and people stopped playing Standard because it was fucking $400 base to start to build this deck, because you needed 4 Jace the Mind Sculptors. If you didn't, you couldn't compete, and you just got shit on by this deck that just made you unable to play the game, countered your spells, bounced your creatures, drew more cards, shut you down, completely unfun. The only deck that had a chance against it was the same deck. It was, if you weren't playing Caw-Blade, like if I was playing my Caw-Blade deck and you weren't, I beat you. Fuck you. Like, I don't care what you got, I'm gonna crush you. If you were playing Caw-Blade, you got a shot. That's the way it worked, and that's the way Standard was. And so people stopped playing, because if you didn't have Jaces, you might as well not show up. You're just wasting your time and money.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I get it. But
in terms of power level, Jund probably a more powerful deck than Caw-Blade. Not head to head, but in terms of what it in its format. But because of the way it operated, and it made your opponent feel like they had a game, nobody stopped playing because they're like, oh, I almost got it. Like, almost got there.
Yeah. But I think the important thing that I pull out of all of this talk is that, yes, Wizards has access to metrics, and they can figure stuff out. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, like, mini games, it's like, or just any sort of tabletop games, it's like, it's not fucking hard. You just kind of have to listen to your play base to understand what's going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I had a minis game that I was running, I would absolutely have an FAQ, a specific FAQ person, and he'd be like, email us your questions.
Yeah.
And then I would just have him answer questions, and then I would be like, hey, note if you keep getting the same question, and if I would actually make an FAQ for actual FAQs.
It's not hard to do a living FAQ.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not even like if you get like multiples of the same question. Like if you just get one question, you could put it up there. Like,
yeah, and there's a bit of a double-edged sword to updating, because good example, Privateer Press just recently did an update, a big FAQ update that invalidated like hundreds of cards.
Yeah.
So like that was a huge like they needed to make the fix, but it's painful as shit. And now you have a bunch of people who have cards that aren't right anymore.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a flaw of doing the card, but on the same token, if I have a book that's got FAQ'd, my book is just as invalid as the cards now. So it's a tough balance to strike, I think.
All right, so we're just about done. I just had one more thing that I wanted to point out that another interesting like terrain type discovery that I made that I thought you'd get a kick out of it. So I do a lot of casting and everything like that. So I've been doing these buildings and everything like that. I needed doors and windows and stuff, so I'll make a door and I'll cast it up. I use like stuff like that. You know what I found is the best thing for casting, like
like a resin, you mean?
Well, no, just like a method for doing it.
What?
Altoids tins. Altoids tins are amazing for casting.
Yeah, they're a little metal box. It's great.
It's fucking fantastic, and everything works perfect in them.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out there for anybody out there who ever wants to experiment with casting. I'm a little lucky because one of the leading distributors for resin and silicone for casting is located about 25 minutes from my house, so I could just drive there. But their shipping costs are relatively low, so it's like if you wanted to order it, I do everything through Reynolds Advanced Manufacturing. So if you look up Reynolds, they sell silicone, they sell resin. If you're interested in it, put it up on the Facebook page, and I'll answer any questions on it about that sort of thing. I have all of the equipment at home that I do this with.
Who's the Joe with the box?
So, but I mean, Altoid tins, amazing for that. So there you go. All right, go to PlanetArbitrary.com for Planet Arbitrary needs. You can follow me on Twitter at Planet Arbitrary. You can follow Steve at
Play on Steve.
Like our Facebook page, /game.
I tweet anime titties and Blaze Blue.
Yes. You can like our Facebook page, /Game Classy Podcast, where we make fun of British people.
I don't.
Well, I do.
I have no problem with the Empire.
The Queen is back, Steve. The Queen is back.
American exceptionalism got Trump into office.
It's true. God damn, what's wrong with our nation? By the way, by LL Bean.
LL Bean?
You didn't hear about that?
No.
So apparently one of the CEOs of LL Bean is on a super PAC that donated money to Trump's campaign. So Trump was like, this person donated money. You should buy LL Bean. And everyone was like, you can't do that. That's
awesome.
Not right.
You know what? He's the perfect president for America. He really is.
We deserve it.
He really
we
is.
deserve it.
Yep.
The best way you can help out the podcast is like, comment, subscribe on iTunes. You could also listen to us on the YouTubes.
And don't forget the Podbean exclusive podcast Weebtown.
Yes, I was going to say
it's a Podbean exclusive.
Podbean exclusive. You can listen to the other podcast, Weebtown, which is the newest one, where Steve and young Giuseppe talk about anything Japanese related.
That's right. I'm actually uploading episode 2 shortly after you leave, I think.
And it's what's it going to be about? Is it going to be about anime?
It's going to be about ReZero.
ReZero.
That's the main. That's the main thing.
And they talk about Japanese anime, manga,
video games, food. Anything from Japan.
Food. Anything from Nippon.
Anything from Nihon.
Nihon.
Nippon is a made-up fantasy thing to not call it Nihon, which means Japan.
Yes. Or you could also listen to
Pat's Retro Video Game Review Podcast.
Pat's Retro Video Game Review Podcast, a.k.a. Play On, where Steve and Pat talk about the Nintendo Switch, which was just revealed.
Dude, that's fucking selling out everywhere.
It is.
It's
and
hot.
I can't understand it. It looks like a piece of junk to me, but that's just me.
It looks so good.
That's me. It literally looks like a piece of junk.
I'm so excited about it.
It'll be all Nintendo exclusives, even though they're touting its ability to play.
Nope, they have a huge roster of new games made by actual developers for it. Like I was very impressed with the games revealed.
No, I agree. It will have the ability to play these games. However, most people who will play those games already have a PS3 or an Xbox.
A ton of them are going to be exclusive. Like the new Shin Megami Tensei is exclusive.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is it's going to be mostly Nintendo.
Oh yeah,
exclusives.
but that's the thing. They actually are nailing exclusives from developers. Like there's going to be a From Software exclusive on the Switch.
Yeah.
That's crazy because like they make Dark Souls 3, it goes on Xbox, it goes on PlayStation, it goes on PC. There's going to be a From Software exclusive title on the Switch.
Well, let's hope it's good.
They haven't let me down yet. I've liked every FromSoft game, including all the Armored Core ones, and I hope that my fervent hope is that they actually do an Armored Core game for the Switch, because I've wanted an Armored Core game again for a long time.
There you go.
One of the best mech combat games out there.
You could also listen to Comic Book Logic, which is with me and Kevin, where we talk about comic book movies. I know recording this week. It'll go up next week. It is the year in review for the upcoming year, where we're going to talk about all the movies that are coming, all the comic movies that are coming out: Logan, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man, Thor: Ragnarok, Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets.
What?
It's a stupid French one. It's by Luc Besson, so I'm going to give it a try.
Is he the City of Lost Children guy?
No, Luc Besson is the guy who did Fifth Element.
Oh, okay. I love Fifth Element.
Yeah,
It's a great movie.
Yeah, most Luc Besson movies that he directs are pretty good. He produces a lot of shitty ones.
Okay.
But the ones he directs are generally pretty fun. So yeah, that,
Zorg.
look forward to that. What's the...
It's Ruby Rod, Super Green.
what does he say? I am a meat popsicle.
That's I'm a meat popsicle.
So
fucking love that
Steve,
movie.
until next time,
Keep it super green.
Game Classy.